Oh yeah, you read it right. How do I sharpen my knife using my gun? Well, I'm gonna tell you. First of all, knife cleared, safe, ready to go. For all you safety sallies. Safety sallies. I hate that term. It's so stupid. Gun is being cleared. People do freak out about the guns. However, I never once in 3 years of doing knife videos, have heard anyone freak out because I was holding the blade towards myself like this, or if I happen to, you know, muzzle myself with my blade, or you can wave it around. No one gives a crap. But of course, once you do anything, I mean, the slightest thing that's just possibly scary or dangerous in any way with a gun, then people really freak. I think it's just because people focus more on anti-gun stuff, whereas there's not as many anti-knife organizations out there. But you know what? There's anti-knife people. They just happen to stay a little bit more quiet than anti-gun people. So anyway, magazine's out. There's no ammunition in the gun. Okay, we're empty. I promise. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Can't really see that chamber, so I'm going to show it to you up close and personal now, just to make sure. All right. There it is. Oh, whoa. Whoa. I almost muzzled myself. Empty. Empty chamber. That was close. Okay. Now that that's cleared and everyone feels nice and safe and calm, everything's cool. Now I can show you how in the world I can sharpen my knife on my gun, or with my gun. It's going to be on the gun. First of all, I love these Glocks because we get to be extra safe seeing that that trigger in the rearward position. Okay, that just means that even if this was loaded with a round in the chamber, you could still pull the trigger and nothing would happen. So that's very cool. It's a very visual indicator of safety. So we're safe. Now we're going to get dangerous with our knife. Back up. Back up. All right, so how am I going to sharpen this using my gun? Well, technically we're not sharpening the knife. However, when you're done with this process, it will appear to be sharper to you. Okay, what we're doing is we're using the gun as a steel, a makeshift steel. Now, I'm going to straight up tell you that you shouldn't do this. This is a novelty. What I'm going to do is functional, and it will work. It's not suggested or recommended. Obviously, you want to use the proper tool for the job. What is that tool? Well, it's that funny long thing, that stick that came with your kitchen knife set that you don't know what it is. And some of the smarter people out there are thinking, I'll bet you that's for sharpening my knife. But I don't know how to do it, so they don't use it. It just sits in the blocker, gets thrown out, or goes in the junk drawer. And the really smart people go, that doesn't sharpen my knife. That is a kitchen steel, and that straightens my edge. So let me explain why you need this tool before I explain how to use it or how to make your gun one. Plain old sheet of paper, and we're going to cut it in half because this is too big to be using for an example. All right, so let's assume this is our edge, our cutting edge. Okay, here's our real knife. All right, looks like a knife, right? When I turn it, doesn't look like too much. But see how that skinniness there? That's our cutting edge. Let's assume this paper is this for demonstration purposes. Here's our cutting edge. Ooh, careful, sharp. Actually, some of my nastiest cuts came from paper, not knives. Anyway, so there's our cutting edge, right? We cut stuff with this. Now, it's nice and sharp, it's nice and straight. Now, as I'm using this edge on a micro level, you can't really see this, but the very, edge of your edge is a very fine piece of metal. So when you go to cut stuff that's a little bit abrasive or a little bit tough, even cardboard and paper, it's fibrous, it's wood, just in a different form. As you're cutting stuff, what happens is your edge starts to bend a little bit. Okay, you get little kinks here and there. We got bent edge. It's not broken, it's not chipped off. A chip in your edge would be that. That's a chip. That's missing metal. Not good. No, it's just a bend. So what happens is the side that bent, that's still very sharp, but it's now angled somewhere else, okay? So when you go to use your knife properly to cut things, it's not on the sharp part anymore. I can get a paper cut by pulling the paper across my finger this way, but if I pull my finger across this way, nothing's going to happen because that sharp edge is now angled away from the material I'm trying to cut. So how do you fix this? Because your knife's still sharp. It's just not effective because you're starting to get rolling and little things are going on, scary things. So what you do is you use our steel, which is that rod that's in your kitchen knife set that you don't know what it is. And in this case, I'm just going to use a ruler as my example of the steel. And what you want to do is kind of like in a sharpening motion, you're going to rub, okay, on a slight angle, the same angle as your sharpening angle, on the steel. And what that's doing is it's straightening out all the little tiny micro bends. So you don't have to sharpen your knife because it's not dull yet. However, it's performing like it's dull because it's not cutting stuff. But once you sharpen your, or excuse me, once you straighten your edge using your steel, you're back in business. So 9 out of 10 times when your knife dull, like, you know, soon after you've already sharpened it, you know, it's great, everything cutting with it. All of a sudden, a couple days later, you know, if you don't sharpen it right away or don't do anything with it, you're like, oh man, this thing's getting dull. Most of the time, it's not actually dull, but you are starting to get some bends and rolls and so forth in your edge, okay? So use your steel, all right? You see chefs on TV all the time or in restaurants, whatever, they go, you know, back and forth. This thing, what the heck are they doing? They're sharpening their knives? No, they're not sharpening their knives, but every time they pick up that knife, it's been instilled in their brain to do this, okay? Because either A, they learned it in culinary school, or B, they know the science behind how their knives work, which I think all good chefs should. And they have an understanding that, all right, well, every time I pick this up, I want to make sure that my already sharp knife is perfectly straight so I can cut with precision, okay? So I'm going to do a few passes. Now, when they do that, it's just fancy because they do it nice and fast. That's because they're experienced with it. When you do this at home, you don't need to whip it back and forth, okay? And you don't need to do it on your gun. This is just an extreme example of this. And yes, this is functional. It will work. No, I don't suggest it for various reasons. But that's what you want to do. Nice even angle, okay? I'm not going to do this with this because it's painted, so it's a softer material, so it will bite into the ruler and probably end up dulling it as opposed to doing what I want it to do. But I will demo this on my gun, as the video suggests. But basically, that's what we're doing, almost as if you're sharpening. Now, when you're at home and you're using a kitchen steel, you want to put a towel, bowl up a towel, like scrunch it up, put it on your countertop, and stick that end right in that towel. This will ensure that it does not move or slide on you while you're using it. The second thing I would recommend you doing, especially if it's the first time you're doing it, is to keep it perfectly up and down, perfectly straight. Okay, this way you can look at the angle of your knife. Let me give you, actually this is better. Yeah, so you want to look at the angle of your knife and keep this not a factor. Keep this a very stable angle, straight up and down, 90 degrees. So when you angle your knife, you get an idea of what it is. If this is cockeyed, or if this is angled and this is angled, it's going to be very delusional, and you're probably going to go too steep on it and dull your blade as opposed to straighten it up and make it, you know, functional again. So that's pretty much how that works. Yeah. So, or another option you can do, I wouldn't recommend it, but you can keep your angle on your kitchen steel itself, and then, you know, keep your blade straight. But it's easier just to do it this way and angle your blade. So that's pretty much how that works. Now I'm just going to demo this on the gun. Now, why I don't suggest doing it with a gun is, first of all, you shouldn't be playing with your guns. Use your guns accordingly. All right, you should only be touching your guns when you're target shooting, practicing, loading, unloading, cleaning, and so forth. You don't want to just play around with your guns. It's not a good idea. Again, just an extreme demo. I'm not suggesting you do this. Also, of course, different finishes of guns will work different ways. This is a Glock 36 that has a hard Tenifer coating on it, which is going to be totally adequate for this purpose. This is not going to scratch my knife, nor is it going to dull it, nor is it going to scratch my gun. But if you go home and you try this on your gun with a parkerized finish, or God forbid a beautiful bluing job, or, you know, some nickel plate or something, it's going to scratch everything up. Don't do it. All right, this is just for an extreme entertainment. It's what its purpose is, but education as well. Now, using the corner here, I can use this functionally, either the front or the back, doesn't matter, to steal. No, I'm not taking it from someone. I'm stealing my edge. All right, just like sharpening or stropping. You want to do an even amount passes on both sides to keep it as even as possible. And what this is doing is straightening my already sharp edge so it's all back and lined up perfectly straight. That's the purpose of this. So in this case, I'm using my gun to sharpen my knife. Let's do a little test to see how functional that was. Piece of paper. It's got this in half as well. You can see it's nice and sharp already, but because I can't imagine someone out there maybe clicked on the video and wasn't really paying attention, and then when they finally did turn to the screen, all they saw was this. And they go, why is that man trying to cut his gun? Anyway, that's it. Like I said, just kind of a extreme demonstration to drive home a point. Your kitchen steel, most likely you have one in your kitchen block. Use it. Or if it's not in your kitchen block, you probably have one sitting in your junk drawer. A lot of people have a drawer of miscellaneous things in the kitchen. All kinds of stuff that, you know, potato peeler that you've never used that just sits there and does nothing, you know, miscellaneous bottle caps, all kinds of crap in there, I'm sure. Dig around. Maybe you have one. Now you have another way to keep and maintain the edges on your knives. So another video for the series of sharpening and sharpening related videos, because we do lots of reviews, lots of cool stuff on knife things, and then at the end of the day, half the people watching these videos have dull knives because they don't know how to sharpen them. So it's all about maintenance. Learn how to sharpen your knives properly. In addition to that, because some people, you can get through your whole life, there's old timers who they don't know how to steel their knives, they don't know how to strop their knives. It doesn't matter to them. They know how to sharpen them properly, and that's all they do. They sharpen them, they use them, they get dull, they sharpen them. That continues forever. And you see their pocket knives that they used to have like a, I don't know, a spade blade on it. Now it looks like some kind of a fillet blade because they've sharpened the heck out of it. It's literally removed half the blade. It's not always necessary to sharpen your knives, okay? You don't need to sharpen them so much that you change the shape of them. All right, you don't need to take off metal. All you have to do is refine that very edge. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I thank you very much for watching once again. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take it easy.